guys have done more to free straight women and men than you have gays and lesbians. And you think I'm kidding. So you don't misunderstand me. Think about this one example. A lot of you are very successful businessmen and women. If you were at a fancy restaurant in Washington 5-6 years ago at an important business meeting, and a gay or lesbian waiter came up, or transgender, spoke with a lisp or demonstrated they were gay or lesbian, and someone at that luncheon table made fun of that person, no one would have said anything. Not a joke. I want you to literally think about this. Today, if that same thing happened, the other 4 or 5 people at the table say, "You horse's tail, get out of here." Really. So guys, believe in yourselves. Believe in how much more you can do.
That was Vice President Joe Biden with the lisping gay waiter story that left a lot of people scratching their heads over whether or not he was still in the concussion protocol after the Democratic debate last week. Joining me now is Tim Ryan, congressman from Northeastern Ohio, who was on the debate stage last week, night number 1, acquitted himself very well, but he didn't get to go up against Joe Biden. And I want to start there, Tim Ryan. He's ahead of you in the lane marked center left. Do you think he's going to stay there for long?
It doesn't look like it. I mean, I think he stumbled a little bit out of the gate, and I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for people who want to go somewhere else, and I think we're providing a really good opportunity for them, talking about the working class issues that you and I talk about a lot, and we'll see where it goes.
It's a gaffe a day, Tim Ryan, the lisping gay waiter. That is not how you talk about LGBTQ rights in this day and age, is it?
No, it's not. And, I think you could go back to the segregationist comments. It's not, I don't think anybody thinks Joe Biden's racist. I don't think anybody, thinks he's anti-LGBTQ in any way, shape, or form. It's just the way you talk about these things is more important sometimes. And, it's leaving a little bit to be desired.
All right, let me go back to mechanics. I asked John Delaney this. The 2 people I wanted to hear the most from were the center-left Democrats, Delaney and Ryan. I'm not sure they gave you anywhere near the amount of time that you both deserved. Did you leave the stage feeling, and I heard this a lot when I did the debates, everyone's always unhappy, but what did you think?
Yeah, you never get enough. I looked at the numbers after. We were middle of the pack as far as amount of time we got, but we got a lot of it in the second half of the debate. And I didn't get in on the health care issue that I wanted to get in on, and a couple other things. And the issue of wages and jobs, and it just, to me, there wasn't enough of that out there. And so no, I didn't think we got enough time, but I was pretty pleased that we got a lot more than most. Some people got 3-4 minutes. I mean, I got like 7.5.
I like the fact that you rolled right. All right, so you're a quarterback. You got back there, you rolled right and said, "Hey guys, we got to talk about the working man and woman out there." And I thought that probably saw an uptick in applause for Tim Ryan. Have you seen an uptick in donations?
Yeah, we've had a really good few days. I'm getting a lot of phone calls from the early states. A lot of phone calls, quite frankly, from some people who used to be with Joe Biden back in 2008 and did not commit to him yet, that are coming our way, on the ground in some of these early states, which is really, really crucial. And we got some donations from some people I never thought we would get from. So we just got to keep building it out. We've got to have a great July. We got to keep momentum going. The Washington Post Power Rankings had 2 people with significant increases. One was Kamala Harris, went up 4 slots, and I went up 2 slots. So, we're moving in the right direction.
You're working the refs here. I'm one of the Power Post pundits involved in that thing, and I keep telling people there is a lane, a center-left lane that's got Delaney, Hickenlooper, and Ryan in it, but Joe Biden is clogging it, and as he dissolves, I don't see a lot of his support going to Kamala Harris. I don't see a lot of his support going to Pete Buttigieg. Those are people who want to win. Are you going to make the electability argument in round 2?
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, I touched upon it a little bit. I probably could have been a little sharper, but the reality of it is, I said, we've got to change the center of gravity of the Democratic Party. and it's got to be who can beat Donald Trump in Western PA, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin. And I don't think taking private insurance away from people is the way to do it. I don't think not having a security initiative, whether it's on the border or with regard to China, what happened with North Korea, all of these things. I think we've got to have a firm position on those as well. But you could also be progressive on a lot of these other issues. So to me, the lane is there, and I think I'm best positioned to take it. And I make the argument, too, to Democrats is like, if you really want to have an agenda where we can bring everybody together and actually get Washington moving, I believe we got to take the Senate as well. And that means you got to be able to go to Kentucky and take on Mitch McConnell. You got to be able to go to South Carolina and take on Lindsey Graham. You got to win a seat in North Carolina. Kansas has a seat that's open. Iowa has a seat that's up. You can't go to those states with a more of an elitist Ivy League approach to this stuff. You got to go with the blue-collar, work-in-person, forgotten community approach that I'm bringing, and we can play offense on a lot of these states.
Now, a lot of the airtime is sucked up by Vice President Biden and by Senator Sanders, and they are definitely yesterday's candidate. Who has stature in the party, and I think we know who it is, and his number is 44, to go to each of them and say, you guys have to get out of the way? Would that be useful, Tim Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's reality. That those conversations, I'm sure, were happening before anybody announced. And to me, it's just like, look, what's been handed to my generation, I'm 45, I'll be 46 in a couple of weeks. What's been handed to my generation is the high income inequality, large deficits, no industrial strategy, no real economic strategy moving into the future around 5G or 6G or electric vehicles or solar or wind or additive manufacturing, these areas that are really growing. There's been no strategy. No strategy around the entitlements, no strategy around education reform, no strategy around all of the innovations happening in healthcare and preventative medicine, food as medicine. All of these things it's like they're happening out into the world, and the only people who aren't getting the program is the federal government, is the very entity that could scale this stuff up and have transformational change in the United States. And so people in my generation are saying, look, we want a chance to lead this country. We've been dealt a pretty crappy hand, and I'm from Warren, Ohio, so I clean my language up there a little bit for you, Hugh.
Yep.
But I feel like we've been dealt a pretty bad hand here. Like what are we going to give my kids, who are 16, 15, and 5 years old?
No, I'm glad you brought up Lordstown, and I was applauding, and I think that actually resonates with every union household out there. Let me talk for a moment, though, about Pete Buttigieg, who raised $24.8 million. I'm guessing you didn't raise $24.8 million last quarter.
I did not. No, I did not.
What is that about?
Well, I'm not sure. He certainly captured people's imagination at a time when no one was really paying attention other than Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, and he was kind of the new kid in town. And he's an impressive guy. I've been with Pete. We did a venture capital investor bus tour that I led back a couple years ago, and we went to South Bend. That was the first time I got a chance to really meet Pete, and he's an impressive guy. So I kudos to him. But he's got a nice network. This is the one thing I tried to say, Hugh. I don't have anything against the Ivy Leagues. If my kid got in the Ivy Leagues, I'd paint houses in the summertime to help him pay for it. There's no question. But I don't have an Ivy League network. I don't have a coastal network. I don't have a New York, Silicon Valley network. But I believe that I best understand what's happening to families in the United States. I've been in Congress 17 years. I've been on the military committees for 12 of those 17 years. I understand our role in the world. I understand how to get the economy going. I know the future of the economy better than anybody because I've been living at ground zero in Northeast Ohio. And so we could either base this thing on, who's got the best network of, coastal people, coastal elites and Ivy League networks, or we can base this on, who's can beat Donald Trump and literally bring the country back together. I think people are dying for that. Donald Trump won 3 of my counties, and I got 20% more than Hillary Clinton did in my district.
Let me ask you about then the time the debate went off the rails. Extending Medicare to people in the country without permission, either by overstaying their visa or by crossing a border illegally or being in the asylum process because they crossed at a port of entry. John Delaney told me last week it's a $33 trillion cost over 10 years, $3.3 trillion. That's astonishing. I think everyone except Delaney raised their hand. I can't remember if you raised your hand. Do you want to extend Medicare to people who are in the country without permission, over visa overstays, border crossers, asylum seekers, all those people before they're 65 even?
That was, I think that was the second night question. I think everybody in our country, first and foremost, we need to focus on the American workers. How do we get people that are here health care? To me, that's step one. If you are here, if you're a kid and you're going to school and you're undocumented and you're going to school with everyone else's kids, we need to make sure there is some basic care there. But the reality of it is we got to focus on what's going on with health care for American families today. And if we don't focus on that and making sure that everybody has affordable, accessible health care in the United States and the workers in the United States, that's got to be first. But no one should be in this country interacting with every one of our other citizens without some basic care.
Well, public health is one thing, but Medicare is a lot more than public health, and that number is staggering. And I thought the Democrats lost the election with that question. I also think they lost the union vote when they said you're all going to be in single payer because Tim Ryan, I'm a member of SAG-AFTRA, and so I've had SAG-AFTRA health care before, and I'll have it again when I'm retired. I don't want my union health care plan to be displaced by single choice, and your UAW, your United Electrical Workers, your United Steel Workers in your district, they don't want it either.
Well, that's why I did not raise my hand for that. And that's the exact reason. We have workers that have negotiated contracts, and they have taken less in wages in order to get better health care benefits. So now you're saying that, you got lower wages, but we're also going to give you this other health care maybe that you didn't negotiate. I just don't think we should be in the business of taking stuff away from people. I believe that there should be a robust public option. And if you can't afford it, we should help you pay for it to make sure that everyone's getting health care in the United States. It's going to save us money in the long run to have prevention. Affordable, accessible, quality health care through some public option. But we should not be taking someone's private health insurance away if they like it. That's not the way you want to go into the fall election, saying instead of saying we want to make sure everybody has health care, and no one's denied for a pre-existing condition, and we got to get these pharmaceutical companies under control. The narrative is going to be Democrats want to take your health care away. I just think that's a loser.
Tim Ryan, what's your website?
TimRyanForAmerica.com. Stop by, send us $10. We'd love to have your help. We're building this out, Hugh. It's exciting. We're releasing our education policy today. I'm in Boston. We're speaking to the Association of school mental health counselors. We're really focusing on trauma-based care for our kids, social and emotional learning, getting good food in our schools. I'm telling you, if people start watching our campaign, they go to TimRyanForAmerica.com, send us a few bucks, but look at the videos that we have, look at the policy positions. We have the most transformational agenda around the new economy, the new jobs, additive manufacturing, electric vehicles, and all that. Best reform in education around social and emotional learning, trauma-based care, vocational education in the schools, 21st century vocational education, and in healthcare focusing on prevention. Really using food as medicine. We've got initiatives where we're literally reversing type 2 diabetes with a small intervention of diet and nutrition and saving all of us, $14,000 a year per diabetic.
So tell me when you stand next to Bill de Blasio, which must have been interesting. This guy is from Central Casting hard left, down quoting Shea. And you've got down the aisle Elizabeth Warren, who's from Central Casting stage left. Do you shake your head? They can't win an election in 100 years. I
don't think that taking people's private insurance away is a way to win elections. I'm trying. I've been trying now for a while. I want to get the party's attention. We've got to focus on the workers, the working class, white, black, brown, gay, straight. That's how you win elections. And we have President Trump in there now because we got away from that robust a message around economics.
Last
around,
question, Tim Ryan.
Yeah.
We had 2 debates with 10 each. I think 4 with 5 each would be better because it's just too. I've done these. I did 4 of them. They're too hard to manage. What's your recommendation to the DNC about format?
Well, at least I think at least 3 with 7 or 6. Whatever the number works out to be, whoever makes it would be much better because everyone then gets almost double time. And then I think you got to shut the microphone off at some point on somebody. If somebody's going and going, you get a minute.
Are you talking about Bernie Sanders?
Well, I could probably have a few examples, but it's it's like we went to Catholic school, Hugh. It's like there's a certain amount of
decorum.
We were all invited there. We're all supposed to have our shot, and then people are talking over their time. They're interrupting other people. It's just it turned into a free for all. I think at some point you got to turn the mic off. You're done.
All right.
Next question.
I hope they do that. Congressman Tim Ryan, good to check in with you. We'll check in with you after the July debate. What's the website again?
TimRyanForAmerica.com.
Thank you, Tim Ryan. Thank you, my friend.